Oh yeah. Check it, check. That doesn't sound. That was me. Oh, was it just that delay? That- Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I'm still here. I haven't even moved.
Oh wow. Yeah. Go.
Oh, I love that. I'm gonna put something out too. All right, so I'm back. Cool. Gonna monitor it anymore live, and we'll deal with them later.
All right. Oh, nice.
Bam. Also, I'm planning to drop 2 more of our episodes.
Nice.
This is content dump Sunday.
Content dump Sunday.
I just didn't want to upload or like use any of my computer shit right now, you know.
Yeah. For sure.
So share this. I do not know how to do that. Quality captions, loop video. Mm-hmm. Make sure it's sound right. Oof. A lot of mouth noises there. Holy shit. Enjoy. Bitch, sleep. Fucking A. All right, get a little voice chat. We got Rhea Rose in the chat before we even start. I love it.
Oh yeah, Rhea. Hell yeah.
Oh. I am very far behind my stream, so it's gonna take a second for me to get this voice check in.
All right.
Love the Luigi hat, by the way.
Thank you.
Awesome. Cool. I'm good on the voices. All right. Second.
His Twitter handle is redacted. Like literally, that's what it is. It's redacted. It's not like blacked out. Redacted.
All right. Welcome back to Redacted Media and to one of our very first live shows. Pretty interesting.
Very excited.
Very ready for this. But you guys are here for the first time and the last time. Go ahead and click like and subscribe. Follow our channel. We've been breaking down all of the Dark Tower, Stephen King's magnum opus, and we are moving on to book 4, Wizard and Glass. It's gonna be a fun one, I think. Really excited to get started on it. And we left our heroes in a pretty bad situation.
Yeah. So Wasteland. Taking them to Wasteland. They set up a little contest where you riddle I can't, or I'll kill you.
Yeah, and I don't think that they really knew what they were getting themselves into.
Yeah.
A little bit of a bad call there by Roland, to get them into.
It was a tight predicament.
Yeah, so we left last book with that, and I do think it's interesting that King, I think, even discusses it later in one of his books about that, like he had just letters upon letters, people that read, Wastelands in like '91 whenever it came out, and this didn't come out to like so. Just waiting, like you just leave them on this train. It's like there you go.
It was a really genius video in the book.
Yeah, it was pretty cool because they were safe to a point. They kind of overcame what they needed to, but also they left them kind of just out there. Like at the time, you had 3 books, so maybe that it could be the end of the series very soon.
Yeah.
Maybe the next book was going to be one person survives and it takes them all the way to Dark Tower, or whatever it may be. But us reading now, no, it's like, oh,
yeah,
come on, just let me get the next one.
4 books and a bonus book.
Yeah, that one. I haven't had the chance to read yet, but
oh, cool.
Yeah, the last one went through the keyhole.
Yeah,
I'll
be blind for both.
Yeah, it should be a good time. I did want to start with the fact that I watched Doctor Sleep this week.
Yeah,
and that was amazing. Like, thoroughly enjoyed the movie. As much as I want to side with King on the whole Kubrick Shining debate, because he hates the movie.
Oh, really?
He despises it.
Both of them?
The very first one with Jack Nicholson.
Really?
Hates it with Shelley Duvall and whatever the kid's name. Yeah, he hates it because he's like they took like the bones of his story and then made something completely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he doesn't like Jack Nicholson's like portrayal of oh no, whatever his name is. Yeah, it's funny because that movie is so hailed as like one of the greatest horror movies of all time.
Oh, absolutely.
And the man that wrote the source material is like kind of mid.
Kind of bottom tier, honestly.
Yeah, like, D tier maybe. But yeah, so I watched it and there was some crossover to the Dark Tower. I think one of the podcasts calls it King's Dominion, but yeah, it's some crossover, and they mentioned Lamerck Industries movie, and that was pretty cool. I texted you about that. I was like, oh my god, it's nothing big, but it's always cool to see that.
Like, is this on purpose thing, or is it just a little reference?
Well, I think that it at least shows like some passion
Yeah, for sure.
that okay, like I'm gonna be handling this king property. Jack Torrance, thank you, Rhea. Uh, that just some passion from the director that like, hey, I've read more than just The Shining and Doctor Sleep. Like I'm not just here to make a quick buck. Like I feel like if you're a King fan that's read up through Dark Tower, you've either been forced into it, somebody, or it's like you enjoyed a lot of it, so you decided to see what his fantasy was about.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a
They discussed Ka too.
yeah. That one of the the guy.
I saw this movie. I didn't about them.
Yeah, I mean, well, whenever he says something, a famous line like "cause a wheel," you wouldn't pick up on that regular viewer.
Yeah.
But yeah, oh man, I'm gonna get so shamed. People that watch this back. Dick Halloran, there we go. The guy that little Danny meets at The Shining. He comes back as like a ghost,
Okay.
and he's like talking to him, and yeah, he mentions that cause a wheel.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I like that. I need to rewatch this movie.
Yeah, it's probably my second favorite Dark Tower reference, another King property. My
Okay.
first favorite is just a small scene in The Mist, which I don't know if you've read or seen.
I don't think so. No.
Just one of the characters is an artist, and in the very open scene, you see him painting this big tapestry.
Oh, that's
That's
so. That's
yeah,
cool.
it's just the gunslinger. That's all he is. And
nice.
yeah, I was like,
Fun.
oh, and it's a really cool looking drawing. I think it sold for like $20,000 or some shit. Like after the movie got
Nice.
done, because there's somebody that was a super eager fan. But yeah. So tangent aside, Doctor Sleep is amazing. I mean, probably not 10 out of 10 perfect movie, but I enjoyed all of it. So
Yeah, it was very fun.
yeah, I liked it a lot, and it tied in a lot of it did a lot of good things, like I said, for Stanley Kubrick Shining, as well as the kind of retcon some stuff. Like the hotel in The Shining was supposed to not exist after The Shining. It blows up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that's how they ended up. Danny Torrance, the McGregor's character, ends up blowing it up and kind of like resetting, like, okay, this is how the world should be, and that's completely different. So I was like, oh, I love that, because it had already been blown up. Can't really. Yeah, so here we are on Blame the Mono, heading southeast towards Topeka.
Yeah. And thing I wanted to point out is that get into it. Like, okay, we'll read the prologue and the first 3 chapters. And we ended up really just reading the first 3 chapters because the prologue, just like the last section of the last chapter of the last book.
Yeah.
Just copy, Control C, Control V.
How do you? It's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it works really well,
Yeah.
especially since 7, 8 years.
Mhm.
So it's a really good way to be like, okay, here's what's going on.
I also think it's for the time before the internet. That if you
Yeah.
just picked up this book, and maybe it wasn't labeled as the Dark Tower 4 in all prints, I don't know. But if it
Yeah.
just said, Wizard and Glass by Stephen King, what the hell is this about? You at least could try to come into it. They give a lot of background here, but especially with the prologue, you kind of launch right in. Okay, this is where we're at. I missed the 3 books, but if I just bought this for a kid or something like that, sure they.
Yeah.
I did want to start with you said that there was some interesting stuff in the before or the argument.
Oh yeah, in the argument.
Yeah.
I did read that today and kind of found some ones that stood out. But one of the big ones that stood out to me, the Walter Sir Martin.
Mm-hmm.
And I was Walter and Martin had been the guy.
Mm.
So it also said that Walter did befriend.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
I don't know if that's intentional or not, but it's very confusing. Because if you believe the Man in Black is a multitude of characters, where does it end?
Right.
Like, how many people?
And if he is a multitude of characters, he can't serve himself.
No, not at all. And I don't know. I don't know what to. That's the one that I just was like, okay, sure.
And then and the next one that like, whoa, wait, really? Like we kind of theorized about, but it just out there. Walter made.
Yeah, because we had kind of discussed like, Rowan has said like, oh, I saved him, but this isn't even in the right day, so they couldn't have that overlap in book 3. I've been like, hey, Roland's right behind me, I could feel him or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But with Walter kind of possessing Jack, that's a interesting one. That I think that at least the first time through, Jake was the traitor.
Yeah.
So maybe this. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much of much agency the characters really have in their world. You know, they're obviously all fictional characters, and King will do it with them whatever they want. But is Roland on? Is he still being led by the nose by Walter?
Yeah.
Is that still his curse is going on? That he's trying to do something where there's still a man behind the curtain. So, yeah. How'd you feel about them starting off with a Romeo and Juliet quote?
I was like, I wonder what the significance. Like,
yeah, for sure.
I didn't really feel one way or the other towards it. I was just like, resting choice.
Yeah. We'll go ahead and read the quote just so we can get it out there. So it starts off with Romeo. Lady, by yonder blessed mood I vow, that tips with silver all these fruit tree chops. Juliet, oh swear not by the moon, the inconstant, that's a tough word, inconstant moon that monthly changes in her circled orb. Let thy rest thy love likewise variable. What shall I swear by? Do not swear at all, or if thou wilt, swear by thy gracious self, which is the god of my idolatry? Idolatry? Idolatry. Thank you. Jesus. You would be amazed how much I've actually read Shakespeare in the last 3 months, but which is the god of my idolatry, and I'll believe thee. So he's quoting one of the most famous love stories, maybe overrated, depending on who you ask. And I'm this book definitely is a love story. I'll just tell you that straight up. This is going to be a love story. It's about Roland's youth. So there's more Romeo and Juliet than there is hard pan Roland Deschain. You know.
All right.
So it's a good time. I love whenever authors pull quotes from just random stuff. Like he quoted Romeo and Juliet, The Wizard of Oz, and obviously Robert Browning, who wrote Child Roll into the Dark Tower Came. Poem this is like very loosely based on.
Yeah.
Just took the name. But I love an artist, especially if it's songs. It's fitted in. Like I think it starts with "I grew up in a dead man's town."
Yeah, I think so.
And so good. It always gets me.
It's like a little, also really.
It's cheesy, but I choose to enjoy it.
Yeah,
it's like
it's very fun.
Love it. So I think we're gonna skip the prologue if you're cool with it. I don't think we
there's
really
nothing new to cover
discuss.
on there.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So here we go.
Chapter 1, Beneath the Demon.
Yeah, Beneath the Demon Moon 1.
Yep. So he does. Book he structures a little differently.
Mm-hmm.
Because he has a lot more like actual chapters, but he still does do like the sub chapters section thing.
Yeah, for sure. They King's his structure is strange. We've discussed that.
Yeah.
I won't get bogged down on that. But we start off with this robot walking into a wall, right?
Yeah. So we're at this like little town called like Candleton.
Mm-hmm.
Describes like this robot. He's like just walking straight into a wall for so long to wear a hole in the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And he just saying like, "Where's your pass, pard? Radiation levels to the southeast."
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, he's basically just repeating this one line, but I did want to mention that it says that this Canotown Tavern Hotel he's been in this Canotown Tavern Hotel for the last 234 years. We have
Very specific.
a kind of timeline build. I'd love to see somebody with more time than me like break down every time he mentions time and set an actual rolled in world.
That would
Roland's
really,
place
I bet it
is.
exists.
I'll guarantee somewhere out there. It's just one of those things that I don't.
Come on, super, your thing.
Yeah, help us out. I'm also trying to not remember as much as I can about this because we're kind of getting to the. Whenever I go through like a re-listen on Audible or something, it's these first like 4 books I can kind of honestly the third one I kind of like listen on like 1.5 times just because it's so exposition heavy and like trying to get Jake back like okay this is I need my content back together so the story can progress. But
That's
do you really?
Yeah.
It's
podcasts on I'm a monster.
That's insane. And I feel like I talk fast. Like I couldn't imagine like listening to on 2 times. It's probably like fucking auctioneer.
Not too bad. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But like I said, yeah, I'm trying to remain like as ignorant as I can to this series. I remember, I mean, the big plot points, but little things that I think might be spoiled by like a timeline.
Yeah.
Like that, I'm not trying to look up any information from anybody else and just kind of enjoy this. So, yeah.
We also see some of the wildlife that's around here. Like we see grown to like the size of turtle. Which at first I was like, oh, cool. I had kind of a clear idea of how big those were, and I was like, wait a second, that could be anything from like big to enormous,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be really great for the people who are just listening to the podcast, like on Spotify. I put my hands really close together.
So like down to maybe like a bar of soap up to like
Yeah.
a pillowcase.
Yeah. Or even larger.
Yeah, or even bigger. But yeah, Rhea says 2 times the only way to listen to podcasts. Y'all
Thank you.
are
Someone gets
champs.
me.
Y'all are champs. I appreciate it. Sorry you can't listen 2 times live. I mean, I guess maybe we can speed it up.
Let's just start speed on the podcast right now. Go. I don't think I could actually keep that up.
Is this the section with the deer with the leg growing out of it, right?
Yeah, so there's this deer walking around with like a fifth leg that's kind of like doesn't have a bone, it's just kind of like hanging there.
Mm-hmm.
But I found that part really interesting because it talks about how she gave birth to a few like a few young deer, whatever they're called.
Mhm.
And they were actually normal. It's kind of healing itself is what it.
Mm-hmm.
Then Blaine hits her.
Yeah, the sonic boom after was it Blaine that hit her or was it the sonic boom
I
that
thought it
took
hit
her?
Blaine. I thought Blaine hit her.
I thought it was a sonic boom afterwards because it says like ripped the skin from her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like took the leg, the little wobbly leg with it. Maybe it split her in half. Maybe this is a different time that I'm thinking about, but
I could have just missed her.
yeah, for sure. It's a a pretty bad end for this little opening chapter. Gets you like, hey, remember, things are bad.
And the sonic boom itself, like, Roy is part of the town.
Mm-hmm.
Buildings are so old and cleared away that they like straight into dust.
Yeah.
Then hop back into the train or to our quartet.
Yeah, and they're looking at the map, which is kind of serving as Blaine's face, and Dana's fixated on like just how fast they're.
Yeah, they are very fast. The Blaine series, 8 hours thing.
Yeah.
I feel like we're gonna get there that.
Yeah, for sure. I think they kind of already figured that out this early, even in the book. They're like, hey, 8 hours is maybe a little bit different. Not as we can't time it as well.
And Susanna's getting like a little worried that even if we win, Blaine kills anyway. Wants to.
Yeah, for sure. That yeah, why would he hold up?
How do we know that he's gonna actually?
Yeah, for sure.
Then Roland asks Blaine if he can have like a private conversation. Yeah, for sure. I'll turn off all my sensors. I'll completely touch the screen. Let me know that you're back.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody but Roland doesn't believe.
Yeah.
Roland's like, no, he will keep it up because he's very interested.
Yeah, doesn't want to spoil it. So yeah, he's all in on this. So they go and they discuss about how they should approach riddling Blaine. They come up with a pretty cool idea, right? Just super easy softball, increase the difficulty from there.
So they're gonna go just like one at a time. Very easy, hard, very hard.
Yeah, for sure. And who'd they have say each one? Was it Susanna did the very easy?
Susanna went first.
Yeah.
And I believe hers was what has 4 wheels and flies.
Yeah.
But which the garbage. He said it in a midworld way. Local garbage carriage or something like
Mhm.
that. But yeah, a garbage truck.
Yeah.
He's right.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
I like that King said after they asked this, here's my riddle. What has four wheels and flies? And he says, there's a peculiar click as if Blaine was mimicking the sound of a man popping his tongue against the roof of his mouth. That's a magic King sitting in a study going, just like, how would I describe that?
and them, but they go through their riddles and solves each of them. Bam, bam, bam. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Too easy.
Yeah, it gets through all four of them relatively easy. I think that kind of it was probably expected by the quartet, but also little disappointed here that they wouldn't stump him in the first round, or at least find some way, you know.
Especially Eddie. Eddie really thought that, kind of thought that, oh yeah, mine's gonna get better.
Yeah.
They, after they go through the one round, they ask Blaine to leave again,
Mm-hmm.
and allegedly he does.
Yep.
And now they're looking at the map though, and they realize they're about halfway there.
So how much time just jumped here? Like, did they take hours discussing what fucking riddles to get?
I don't think so. I think that Blaine fast.
Yeah. So they're kind of on a time crunch now, right?
Yep.
And they just jump right ahead for Roland to riddle away, right, with his ones that he remembers.
Yeah. So he says that he's gonna go with the best ones. Fair. Tells Jake, like, while I'm doing that, I'm go research that book to the best of your, find the best riddle, find something.
Yeah. Basically, Roland's just stalling because
Yeah.
Blaine is of his world, and these riddles are of his world. I imagine Blaine's like,
Absolutely. And Eddie starts kind of zoning out here. He about how like Roland doesn't, and he kind of just, thinks of I do not shoot with my hand. And for some reason, the image of Roland, Jake, how to make fire. Back to that. The line like get a little bit close. Sticks to him. Thinking of that. Got to be something in that'll get me.
yeah. So Eddie's focusing on that. Roland's riddling away. Jake's looking through the book.
While Roland is like now asking, playing his riddles, he looks over at Eddie. While Eddie's having some kind of, calls it like a awe experience. Like I don't know what's going on with Eddie, but something awe is happening here.
Yeah, they can all kind of tell like, oh, Eddie's thinking. So let him be. For sure.
I just started thinking of
Hell yeah.
Anna is just
just chilling, right?
yeah.
So
Probably really pain.
yeah, comforting maybe. I mean, maybe just trying to be a calming presence. I don't know what her.
Now we're already on chapter 2.
Yeah, it's kind of moving quick, and especially with the prologue, already taking up the first like 17 pages. Like, oh, we're on like page 37 too.
After
Yep.
that's Jake's perspective. Kind of feeling like a how quick, rapidly, a couple of these answers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna take the last 10 artist. Gets those. Also ask him diner bookstore. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, it's just like, well, lost. So
Yep. As Roland is telling, hey, wait a second. Down, it's like with the dried blood on it, but it's kind of healed up, starting to scar over, and definitely not hurting. And just in case we forgot, it's from the last book when Boy almost fell off the chasm and Jake reached down to grab him, and Boy basically bit his hand to save himself, latched onto his hand. Blaine is like, "Oh, well, that's because they're on your armrest. I've been healing. I didn't want to see my little podner with that injured forearm." Starts telling like all the things it can do. It can like simulate gate and
Yeah.
And he asks him, "Have your first sexual have it with sex goddess like Marilyn Monroe or Edith Bunker?" A nice lady. Exactly. Like, that's a character from it. Blaine is like quiet immediately.
Alright, motherfucker.
And Jake's like, besides, I think I'm a little bit too young for that anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
Which cracked me up. He's trying to tell him thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, basically, you know, I ate on the way here. Yeah, I'm good.
But Susanna and Roland look at each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you said like, oh, like there's lapses in logic, so
yeah,
that he doesn't necessarily can't distinguish the real in our world versus the fake in our world.
Yeah,
which is probably a pretty big clue to the end of this chapter for this book. So, yeah, Blaine should know that Jake is way more about trains than he is. So,
yeah,
he's on a train. He's living high right now.
This is his dream right here. Like,
distract me from being on a train? No way, bucko.
You should have asked me if I want to go sit in the cabin. Like, oh my god.
Drive the train for a bit.
My grandpa was a train. I
Oh, was
actually
he?
got to do that.
That's awesome.
But, yeah, it was very cool.
That's awesome. Trains are one of those cool things that like definitely don't get, but I respect them. Like, oh, that's fucking cool.
I was never like a train guy even as a kid, but Grandpa was like, "Hey, do you want to go drive the train for a little bit?" Like,
I know, like the train at the park on Summit was always cool.
Yeah,
where I was a little kid and I'd come down.
Yeah, that was very fun. It was cool piece of playground equipment.
Yeah, I mean, nothing to do on it but to climb a train.
Yeah,
and you're on a train, but
climb around and run around on it.
Yeah, that was basically it. But it was cool as shit.
Under it where people have like it and about what does that mean? As a little kid. What do they mean by that? Like cold water so much. But so now we get to where Blaine charge. Running out of fuel and battery power that I gotta charge up. They pull up to actually stop. Blaine switches everything to like in where they can their surroundings. And everybody freaks out except for Eddie. Still in his zone.
Yep.
They are over a raging like it's running in different directions.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Like got a current and go or
yeah, that doesn't work in our world. Doesn't work at all.
like it wouldn't, but I was like
that'd be a really cool thing to see. I mean, even if it was a small detail, like if we said put on screen, I think just add to the strangeness, uniqueness of this.
Also side of the train, gigantic rock formation that basically looks like dog head. waterfalls. It's called the Falls of the Hound. It's to play a trick where he turns on all the sound. Now, personally, I believe that up even more.
Yeah, he's having fun a little
Yeah,
bit. I mean,
for sure.
yeah, he's letting it through, but he's not running any filters on it, any noise gates.
Yeah, and it is loud that it is physically get him to stop. Jake's looking. I hear her. And let's go on for a little. Natural area
Yeah, asshole.
about my little
Yeah.
revenge for laughing at him, basically. Warns them to close their eyes. Dog heads basically lightning out of eyes would be at the train.
Yeah, it says that they harness the power of the beam somehow.
Yeah, so it's
If this was America, we would definitely find ways to channel the beam in order to make transportation. That's all we're not public transportation, but individual
no, for
cars.
sure. It would be privatized to all hell and very expensive.
Elon Musk would find a way to use beam power to get the Teslas rolling. 100%.
Yeah.
Oh boy, our worlds aren't too different.
After the lightning happens, and asking, what are these things?
Or even people. Yeah.
And then Little Plane pops up, and he's like, "Don't ask him about stuff like that."
Yeah.
And Eddie just still out even after
Yeah, quoting from Charlie the Choo Choo from the last book. Yeah.
They start going again, and back to riddling. Then he
Yeah.
Ready.
Yeah, he even said that he felt like he was the memories weren't there and lost. It was like they had never existed.
Happening to the rest of the world. Happening to me, I reckon.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a part of this world, and just like the world, it's getting bad, going south.
Thoughts. When I was like, that means not rolling.
Mm-hmm.
That is. We'll just start.
If this Blaine situation would have ended like Gandalf, "You shall not pass" with Roland, how would you have felt?
Like Roland sacrifices himself to get everybody out, basically.
Even like a cheap knockoff. The Blaine goes down, but the party's safe, but Roland goes with it.
Huh.
Would you at least draw on the comparison right away?
Probably.
Yeah.
I about that. I don't think I would love it. That's for sure.
I wouldn't either. I bet it went through his head. I mean, because he says he's trying to like emulate Tolkien here and write his own Lord of the Rings, and I bet it did.
And then Roland comes back later, of course.
Roland the White with a full hand.
Yeah,
he's got Luke Skywalker hand.
Roland the 10-fingered. And instead of like coming back like super powerful like Gandalf did, he just comes back with all 10 fingers.
Yeah,
and that's what makes him super powerful.
Yeah, I can use 2 guns now. Like, what's up?
My fingers, they're back. My riddles, they're back.
Right. Oh my god.
And so they're zooming along again, and going a little bit slower. They realize that Blaine is a little bit slower on battery power.
Yeah.
electric vehicles just can't compete.
Yeah, dang it. It's from 800 miles down to 600. All right.
Darn shame.
Ducks.
But they do pass this map called Dasherville, the last stop on the map before they're getting darn close.
Yeah, Blaine says that at this point he intends to begin what he likes to think of as kamikaze run.
Yeah, so he's faster, and actually put himself to faster than that way when they crash.
Yeah, no chance of survival. Get this.
They only have about 60 minutes. And Jake calls him out on that. He's like, if we've been traveling for almost 8 hours, and I grew up with the Brady Bunch,
Yeah.
there's no way. On his Humphrey Bogart impression, time's a bit different here.
Nope.
I can't do.
I'm not a good. I'm never.
And like I hear the guy on the audiobook, but I still can't.
No, even like trying to think in like Eddie's voice, I'd love to be able to impersonate.
Yeah.
Because it's so fun to hear it as the audiobook guy that does Frank Muller. And
That would be really great.
I wish I could do it, like just so I could read things for this. Be able to put that. But did you catch the Scheherazade reference? Yeah, I thought that was it. 1001 Nights.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite. Like, it's cool to think about. Just like the history of telling stories is always a fun thing. Like, it's a strangely like social act that's been around longer than writing has. Telling stories of fiction, tales of people, right? And you know the story of Scheherazade. I'll
Roughly.
tell. Okay, so I think it's the one with the 1001 Nights, right? Or is that right? There's two of them that are kind of the same, but basically, as long as this person will tell cool stories, kill them. So they tell one every night. Back up some shit. It's like it's a big thing in like writer circles, I believe. Like people are trying to find a muse, and they can go back to that story and be like, okay, you know, if I was in this position, I'm a talented writer.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's always a cool thing to see. I think that whenever King gets a little like writer nerdy, he has a book called On Writing.
I've heard it's really good, even if you're not a writer.
I'd love to see. I heard like some college like classes teach it.
Yeah.
That's their textbook.
I wouldn't be.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
You know? It's a really fun one. It's I don't know. Really cool. That's all I can say.
I've wanted to check it out, and I have no.
Yeah, for sure. It's just something to listen to Tom Brady break down plays, you know? Like,
Yeah.
it's something that's really cool. Like, okay, like you're pretty good at your craft. Let me see how your brain works.
Yeah, like there's podcast I listen to called Writing Excuse.
Mm-hmm.
I started listening to it because Brandon Sanderson on it, but he's not much anymore. But it's just a bunch of authors that are in like a writing group together, talking about different aspects of writing each week.
Yeah.
Like I don't have any interest in writing. Living, explain it in like technical detail.
Yeah, for sure. To explain how their mind works and how it's much more simple. I think that everybody can kind of everybody likes to hear themselves talk.
Yeah.
You know, so like, I think that there's probably a notion out there that like storytelling is just being good at that and having like a vivid imagination. I think there's much more to it, especially if you want to try to make things have an allegory thing. You know, like have a different meaning to it to control themes and things within a book. Telling a story from making it interesting where you're not describing what a sunflower looks for 10 pages, you know, just diving into minute detail for no real reason. And like I think fan fiction has its place and it's fun, but I think there's people that probably shouldn't be writers doing it.
Yeah, I mean, like there's definitely a wide range of quality, but there's some really solid stuff out there.
Mm-hmm. I think that some people, it's a talent that I have. If I'm fast, I shouldn't be a pro athlete. You know, maybe you might have like one of the skills. It's just some of the stuff that I've read. Okay, like I see that you're good at this, but
like I've definitely seen you things of fan fiction where people have written fan fiction and gone on to actually write like published.
Hmm.
Sometimes they just change the name in their fan fiction.
Really?
Yeah. So I can't remember the name of it, but there's this book that like I know is being sold at Target right now.
Mhm.
That was just a Raylo fan fiction. They were in modern day and in school, but it was Ray from Star Wars and Kylo Ren.
And just
Fan
modern
fiction
day
about
people,
them,
huh?
yeah.
Huh.
And they changed the names and got a published book.
Is Ray a band girl or is she like a jock cheerleader?
Um,
Because like Kylo's obviously like jock, right? He's obviously like quarterback.
he's good.
Yeah, definitely. He's a jerk. He's gonna be talented in ways that are not necessarily like school important.
Yeah.
You know, he's gonna have money. He's gonna have a nice car. It's gonna be like a red Corvette.
Oh, for sure. Um,
Ray's on Stuco.
yeah, I can see that. And forgot where we were going with that.
Oh dear, sorry, tangents.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So Roland kind of like says to Blaine, "Oh, time for all my bets."
Mm-hmm.
And Blaine's not buying it. He's like, "Nope, too bad. You ran out of time."
Like, yeah, we didn't put a time limit on. Like, no, as soon as I get there, game's over.
Yeah. He agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Best Riddles out. And I know you're lying to me. Best Riddles out. That's on you.
Whatever.
Yeah. And now we're in chapter 3, Faraday Goose.
Yeah.
Game for.
If you want to mention that, I put Faraday Goose in our description that we're underneath right now, right down there. It's not hyphenated, and I'm pissed. I didn't pick up on that. But anyways, that's just me being picky. Yeah. So
Spider-Man
basically,
versus Spider.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. Sorry, Sunny. I'm having always Sunny tangent here. They have a an episode where they all dress up for Halloween and they're like remembering the night because they all got like blackout drunk. They had to like piece together their memories. And Danny DeVito's character, the very first memory, he's Spider-Man, and so he's like in a Spider-Man costume, doing like this stupid shit. Then Danny DeVito gets to talk, and he's like, first of all, you got it wrong. I wasn't Spider-Man. I was Man-Spider. And he's just in a spider costume now. He has like the Black Widow fucking diamond or hourglass shape on his chest. It's fucking, it's just like little fake arms. I love it. Yeah, the Faraday Goose. So somebody's going to win this motherfucker, right?
Yeah.
And on one side, Blaine's Faraday suicide, and on the quartet wants to
Start off with Eddie still zoning out, kind of get into his head a little bit, like what's he been about. And he's kind of thinking about how like Roland probably thinks of caused fool and doesn't respect him. He telling Eddie, none of your silliness, none of your business. Kind of beat himself up about that.
Yeah, it reminded him of how Henry used to.
Yeah,
That was the real connection. Like that, really, I think. Because was Roland like kind of an ass to him in the beginning of this?
yeah. So when they were about to do like the four things, told Eddie to come up with the hardest one. Said, but none of your foolish.
Yeah, like he had to remind him
Yeah.
what was what insulted him.
Then he thinks of a time where Henry actually praised him.
Yeah.
And he out with his guys and said,
Good.
like, oh, if we're in a scrap, who would you want, back? And he's like, Eddie, of course.
Yeah.
In that zone, when he's zoning out, he could double to set himself on fire.
Yeah, I love this section.
Yeah.
Just that we get this group of like young teenage boys, and it feels like I can watch this scene, even though I don't give a fuck who is named here. I don't know any of these names. They're just
Yeah.
one-off characters that are gonna be gone in 3 pages, But it was so anytime Kig like jumps into this like Eddie style of just thinking and talking, I absolutely adore it captures me every time. I can't put the book down. Even just the way that they talk. He talks about like their different nicknames they have for everybody. One kid had a clubfoot, like what a fucking weird thing I just put in there. You know, it feels so
Yeah, for like a
personal.
one line character.
Yeah, and that was it. But you get this whole background that he's the one that stole his smokes from his mom, and they called him like Johnny Polio or something because he had a clubfoot, and it's like,
Yeah.
I love this. Yeah, and I love the whenever he's in that fucking zone, man. Talk the fucking devil to light himself on fire. It's like great. That's a cool thing to say for Eddie
Oh,
to
yeah.
have, you know, as a brand on him. Oh yeah.
It's nice to like we got all of these moments of Henry kind of being horrible to Eddie, and you know it's nice to see that it wasn't all that. There were some good moments.
Yeah, for
as well.
sure. We had not
Even if they
seen,
are talking about like who would hell out of somebody.
yeah. Well, I mean, for Eddie's
Yeah.
life, you know, that's probably about as endearing as they really
Yeah,
got.
sure.
You know, they weren't discussing anything too sentimental. So you know, and they also kind of mentioned that how getting a pisser, all these like cool names they have for shit, and like how big that was to them. They weren't talking about school or the future. They're worried about right now. So
Yeah.
in a fight, like who do you have at your back? And none of them mentioned anybody that was there except for Henry. I found that kind of interesting. Like, okay, sure, whatever. Yeah, we're all weak. Let's just go ahead and admit that. You know, we got it.
Jump forward a little bit, and Blaine tells you have 25 minutes left before Roland. Blaine, you have bested me. Every riddle that I have. Die. But it's your turn. Jake gets up. He's got his goals. Boy walks up with him,
Yeah.
like defensively almost. And that he had picked out. Crushingly. Bam, bam, every single.
Yeah.
Blaine immediately. Oh, oh, oh.
Yeah. All 10 of them. He did you listen to this or did you read this?
Listened.
Listen to it. They kind of, I think it's a little bit better listening because you can't like look ahead, you
Yeah.
know. But like while I'm reading, like my eyes would always jump to the answer. I wanted to like pause to see if I could guess, but it's in all fucking caps because that's how Blaine talks and that's how formats it.
Your eyes are just kind of drawn to that.
It jumps down, so I'd see like before I even finish the riddle, I'm jumping down to see the.
Yeah.
I think there's some of them that I might have been able to get, but I've never been good at riddles. I could never.
Yeah.
Those types of puzzles I just don't get. It's I think a little bit too logically. I can never get it. So
Yeah. I didn't even try because so immediate that.
and at 1.5 speed. So
Yeah. Sure. And he asks
out of the eater comes dust.
Yeah, the one about Samson.
Yeah.
Gets that right away too.
Yeah.
Damn it.
So they've emptied their shells.
Yeah.
They're out of ammo, and they're basically up shit's creek.
It goes to sit back down. Well, guess I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
Again.
Jake
time.
is definitely a Gen Z. Yeah, you know, many worlds in these and other shit. Oh, well, fuck it.
Then very confidently, Blaine's like, well, now you have 20 minutes. So happy.
Yeah. Yeah, and he starts even kind of goading them about does anybody have anything left? He asks Roland, he asks Danny, he asks Jake. He even asks Oi.
Yeah, he asks Oi. I'm like, thank you for including him.
Does it Oi actually respond too?
I don't remember.
I don't know. I'll look it up. Go ahead.
Okay. Then Eddie's like, yeah, hey, I got a couple riddles for you.
Oi did respond. He just said Oi.
Yeah. Oi.
Yeah, so Eddie finally wakes the fuck up after 8 hours of zoning out, right?
Yep.
and says that he has a couple of riddles just to pass the time between here and Topeka.
Get like a little section of Eddie Roland like belittling him for his joke riddle.
Mm-hmm.
Then he realized that Roland thinks of riddles really logically, like Blaine. Roland doesn't really get the jokes. So Blaine might not either.
Yeah, he connects that to the dumb joke that they brought at first.
Yeah, so
Or not joke, but riddles.
yeah, so he realizes like, that's the one time that paused made him, or that he did snap of immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Joke one. Right. But he also remembers Roland had told him, "I don't care about taste. Solvable, and that's good riddle. Neither of this." Well, the word "good's" subjective. Who cares about good riddles?
And I'd argue that jokes are kind of solvable based on your background information.
Yeah.
There's a couple of jokes I knew the answer to the first time I
Yeah.
heard. I'm like, oh yeah, I've heard this before. Right? I can kind of piece together the patio furniture one.
I hadn't heard that, but I loved that.
Yeah, I could piece that one together. I was like, oh, yeah,
Okay.
I get that. That's funny.
But so now we hop back to the present. Starts off again with what has four wheels and flies. On garbage truck. Blaine's like, "I found that exceedingly stupid.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, and maybe that's why you asked it again, because you're stupid."
He's such a fucking asshole.
But Eddie's having fun now, asking him little jokes, and each time does cause think a little bit, and he starts like protesting, like, "These are stupid. These are pointless. These aren't good riddles. I don't want to."
And yeah, that takes Roland by surprise. Roland's like, "No, motherfucker, you said you were in.
Yeah.
This is what we got. You got to answer him."
So yeah, now Roland backing Eddie up. Answer for the stupidity you, not the transgression of.
Yeah. And each time that Eddie asks one of these jokes, there's a clicking sound from Blaine's inner working. Something is happening that keeps on getting progressively louder, right?
The train's getting more unstable as angrier. Little Blaine actually pops up and he's like, "Hey, stop it! You're really pissing him off."
Yeah, he's like, "Get out of here, Pipsqueak."
Yeah, he's like, "Get lost."
Oh, I love it, Pipsqueak. What a great word.
Yeah, that made me very happy.
And I know even in the audiobook, like I hated the voice of Little Blaine. He was always so worried. Oh,
so whiny.
yeah. Oh my gosh, shut up. Fuck out of here.
Eddie keeps it up. And pops back up and he's like, "No, actually, you're gonna kill me."
Yeah.
Eddie just, that's, Eddie decides to hit him with the critical hit, the final blow. His move.
Yeah, the ultimate combo, right?
Yeah. Why did the dead baby cross the road? This just basically, like, lights start flashing, everything is shaking. Blaine is pissed. Blaine is out, spurting out nonsense.
Yeah.
Like, it's just random dialogue that doesn't.
I'll read some of it.
Stuff in it.
Yeah. It says you 16 log 33 all consecutive subscripts anti in all them years beam flood Pythagorean Cartesian logic can I dare I a peach eat a peach Almond Brothers Patricia Crocodile and Whiplash smile Clock of dials, tick tock, 11 o'clock. The man's in the moon and he's ready to rock. In assessment. Incessament? Incessament, mon cher. On my head, Blaine dares. Blaine will answer. I remember this in the audiobook being amazing.
Yeah, it was
His
very
little
cool.
robot voice just like being so monotone. I loved it, right? And then go
then
ahead.
He, like switches to another language. Eddie thinks it might be French.
Mm-hmm.
He says some nonsense in that as well, and then he starts singing.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, what song is this?" And the drums come in. Eddie recognizes those drums.
Fucking Velcro fly.
Velcro fly.
Then Eddie has his moment of shooting this guy down, and I'm gonna have to read the paragraph just because you write it down. Did you want to read
I
it?
wrote it down as well, but you go ahead.
You may do it? Okay. So, from deep within the wall, towards Blaine's blunt bullet-shaped snout came a thick, grinding noise. Eddie here. It crossed the road because it was stapled to the chicken, you dopey fuck, Eddie yelled. He got to his feet and started to walk towards the smoking hole where the route map had been. Susanna grabbed at the back of his shirt, but Eddie barely felt it, barely knew where he was, in fact. The battle fire had draped over him, burning him everywhere with its righteous heat, sizzling his sight, frying his synopsis, and roasting his heart in its holy glow. He had Blaine in his sights, and although the thing behind the voice was already mortally wounded, he was unable to stop squeezing the trigger. I shoot with my mind. What's the difference between a truckload of bowling balls and a truckload of dead woodchucks? Eddie roared. You can't unload a truckload of bowling balls with a pitchfork. Oh, I'm sorry. That one maybe. I think there's. Did you have the next one? No, I'll give you.
So, I have one a little bit further down.
Yeah.
Then Blaine is like almost like a firebolt out, and Jake yells at Eddie to dodge it, and Eddie's already dodging, or he, words are, it's like a,
Yeah.
he walking toward, and he had reached the pulsing square. Now he lifted Roland's gun. Barony coach suddenly filled with its. Put all 6 rounds into the hole, fanning the hammer with the flat of his hand in the way Roland had shown, knowing that this was right, proper. God damn it, fucking but you ended things if.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. Right before that, actually, the paragraph that I forgot to highlight. So right before that, rewind a little bit. This is the one that like made me laugh even while reading. It said, "Say, Blaine, you ugly sadistic fuck. Since we're talking riddles, what's the greatest riddle of the Orient? Many men smoke, but few men chew. Get it? No? So sorry, Charlie. How about this one? Why'd the woman name her son 7.5? Because she drew his name out of a hat." It's like, oh,
that one was amazing. He drew his name out of a hat.
Yeah, hilarious. Just absolutely shooting with his mind. He even has that, like right before he like geeks himself up to do this, where he's like talking to himself. He's like, "No, I don't shoot with my gun. I shoot with my mind, my fucking mind, man." And that one was like that perfect Eddie voice that just reminds, like, oh my god, this guy's so great.
Yeah,
he's so like intense in a way that it's just captured perfectly in the book, and I love this character. I can't deny it.
Blaine kind of yells out like, "I hate you. I'll hate you forever."
Throw in Anakin burning. I hate you.
But it says like he says almost kind of like he's whimpering, like he's small childlike voice.
Yeah.
And then Eddie's like, "It's not dying that bothers you. It bothers you." Like, I hate you.
Yeah.
Eddie calls him something, which made me think of like some earlier Eddie things. I'm sure it wasn't really. Calls him a baked turkey.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Because they even brought it up because that's what brings him around to the joke part of it. Earlier, he was
Okay.
thinking about Henry and them, like, then they asked, like, you tried to quit cold turkey, but instead it's just cool turkey, like winging yourself off heroin.
Oh, yeah, he does mention that earlier.
Yeah. It's like, then what happens if you overdose? It's a baked turkey. I love that line, too, where it says, "Your goose is cooked, Blaine," Eddie thought, "and your turkey's baked. Happy fucking Thanksgiving."
Yeah.
Oh, my God. So good.
Fantastic.
Yeah. It's one of those.
Like, it was like so dramatic. It almost felt like the end of a book. Like,
That part that we had at the end of the Wastelands with Roland like getting that fucking just powerful voice at Blaine. Like, no, like we are here. You don't fuck with us. We're not insulted because your game is stupid. It's because you're being an asshole.
Yeah.
And like how he commands him, paired with this, if you, like those are two of my favorite parts of the whole audiobook. Like it's just they're so good. I need to buy this damn audiobook so I can listen to it again because it's been years, but it's still stuck in my mind. I absolutely adore.
Now that Blaine is dead, Blaine has died. Engines of quit. They're still moving.
Yeah, you don't just stop. I mean,
Yeah. He didn't throw the brakes on before he died.
no, he didn't. All right, I got you. I'll pull the brake.
And so Roland's like, oh, shit, we could still die.
Yeah.
We could still crash. Gathers everybody and like, run to the back. Everybody to the back. Get away from the front. They all huddle in the back, far back as they can't get off of this car. Actually, back of it.
Mm-hmm.
Apologizes to him.
Yeah.
How the wheel of Ka turns. Ask this. Kind of a blindness and arrogant blind.
Is this where they mentioned that Cuthbert went to his death talking or laughing?
Yeah.
That might have been
that was a little bit earlier.
when they're like Roland is like admiring Eddie, like he's gonna go to his death, like fucking talking and like using his wits and his mouth more than his like physical ability. That's really cool. Yeah, he apologizes, and Eddie, of course, being the insecure guy he is, won't take an apology.
Yeah, he feels really awkward
Yeah.
having Roland apologize to him.
Yeah. Good for his character, and it tracks.
Yeah.
I take the apology.
And he just says, you can't help your nature, Roland.
Yeah, and that kind of shook Roland a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
He was didn't know, like he discovered this carefully and discovered something which was wonderful and awful at the same time. The idea had never occurred to him, not once in his whole life, that he was a captive of Ka. That he was a captive of Ka. This he had known since earliest childhood, but his nature, his very nature, the different. It's less like Ka can kind of be like, damn the luck, like God's forsaken me. I think like our nature is something that's so personal to us that's less like it's not an outside force, something inherent, and okay, this is a flaw within me.
Yeah.
That I can
Even
look
if
at.
like destiny is still happening, I can't change, what's going to happen. I can still choose to be who I am.
Yeah.
And now Roland's like, oh, maybe I can't.
Yeah, I can't necessarily. Maybe I am not this like adapting person that can change for any situation. I think he knows his limitations, but there's also things where he's like, Ka has not let me do this. Where maybe I'm like, no, you don't want to do this. Like you haven't. That's just not you. It's not gonna be what you do.
Nope. But the train crashes, and they get like thrown forward. But it had slowed down enough that they get seriously hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And died.
No,
they didn't really even kind of got thrown in the wall.
Roland said like his side is numb
Yeah.
from how hard he hit the wall or the front of the train. I think like Jake got more beat up by Gasher, TikTok, and Oi.
Sure.
Yeah. He's probably like, oh, yeah, we're good. Just
your side hurts.
Oh man, sorry.
Oh, poor baby.
So they Roland Roland can't pronounce fucking aspirin.
Yeah.
It's so stupid, but it's something that comes up so often it cracks me up. I don't know why.
Like there's no like sediment out thing prin.
I think I don't know how many like P's exist in like the great language or whatever he is. So, like Aston just sense for him. Yeah.
But I do really.
Yeah.
Then a hatch opens up on the top.
Yeah.
Santa had like noticed it earlier, but kind of in passing. She's like, I don't think we can escape through that. But once they crash, it pops open. Ladder down so they can climb out. Everybody out rolling carries away in his
Amazing.
precious. I would love to see that.
Oh, it has to be done. I mean, if it's a doll or if it's CGI, or what it is. I mean, if it's a fucking puppet and you gotta get the dude from the set, like,
Yeah.
let's figure something out.
Definitely have
Some kind of enough
Kind of
practical. Yeah. So much better. Just put a tail on a dog, you know? Yeah.
Everybody climbs out and then he hangs out for a little bit. He kind of imagines.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of a little pat on the shoulder. Okay. Said, you did it, kiddo, Henry said. Made him set himself on fire. I knew you could. Fucking A. Remember when I said those skag bags behind Dolly's, Jimmy Polio and those guys, and how they laughed, but you did it. Sent him home with a fucking rupture. Ah, so good.
That was amazing.
That's like, it's like toxic masculinity love is sometimes endearing, or it's like, okay, these are two people that just don't know how to communicate.
But they're fucking trying.
But whenever they try, oh, it's so good. It's
Yeah.
they missed the bullseye. I mean, that wasn't a great. I mean, like good job. You know, it could have been
Yeah.
much better. But yeah, it's a good thing.
I love that idea to talk the devil himself, and
Mm-hmm.
that's cool.
Yeah, it's if I feel like if this was ever popularized, it would be like a Wolf of Wall Street meme of like, sell me this pen, you know, da da da, like just something just so fucking corny and like taken by like Wall Street bros or like car salesmen
Yeah.
that it could be ruined. But for now, I'm gonna enjoy it because it's ours.
Yeah.
You know, it's here with us. It's not out in the world just yet.
Yeah.
And that actually brings us to the end of our section. We only had like 60 pages we really covered, but they were a fun one.
You know what though? We kind of just like picked these at random, just like, let's just do.
Yeah.
Damn good stopping spot.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I knew when our Topeka happened, I was like, okay, this is when they get off Blaine. So I knew that. I was like, okay, let's just get out of here and be done. So I wanted to kind of like save this for a whole episode. I didn't want to like they get into fucking Kansas. Like I want to talk about that. You know?
Nothing in Topeka.
Yeah, nothing. There's literally nothing. Like you drive, like you have flyover states. Topeka's a drive-through city. Even in Kansas, it's a drive-through city.
And what though? They do have dinosaur museum.
Yeah, they
Keeps
do.
getting advertised to me. And I drove up to Korea yesterday. We drove past a billboard. They've all got an evil.
Dope.
Yeah.
At least I have a beef with museums. Just in general, just the premise of like taking things
Yeah.
and then displaying them. It's kind of like my same thing with zoos. I'm not really a big fan of zoos. It's cool to see shit.
Yeah.
But it's like, this isn't right.
Yeah, it's like on one hand, on the other, problem.
Yeah. It's not as cool. It's like eating eggs or drinking milk. All right. I see why people have issues with it, but I can still kind of enjoy it. I can't enjoy museums or zoos like that. I see the issue too much. Like we have like we have a museum of world treasures here in Wichita, right? I don't know if you've ever been. It's down in Old Town.
I haven't been since.
Okay, so they also have a fiction section, like greatest. So in my last class, English major. That's why I do a lot of stuff like this. So in my my last class last semester, we had to like write something that needed to be included in this like Museum of World History's literature. And we looked at what they had. Out of like the 20 books they had, 18 of them were from white men. 2 that weren't were from J.K. Rowling. Like, Jesus Christ. This is all we have for world literature is 2 countries. Like, it was all English, you know, too. Like, it wasn't like it was a cool French. Or even, they didn't have like fucking Chaucer. Like, old English shit. It was just like hardcover American 21st century fiction. Like, this is terrible. So, actually,
What do we need in here? Add a list.
Anything, just anything out there. You know, like I mean, like they had like Frost and like Yeah, like fuck out of here. I'm done. That's not even literature. It doesn't need to be here.
The road that has traveled.
But yeah, so museums fucking suck. Let's do better. Let's just why don't just have people have museums in their own country? You know,
One
Back
thing,
that
one
shit.
thing I do like though, I like science museums.
Yes, I think that it's not like a historical artifact and like art
Yeah.
and being robbed. You know, like okay, this was discovered in this place and it's taken back. It's like like that. I think like
Yeah.
you can learn a lot from museums and see cool shit, but having like some tribe from Africa's fucking figurine here, it's like okay, how did we get that?
Yeah.
Why is that in Kansas?
Yeah.
And if that's not explained, I always feel kind of bad. I shouldn't be. This shouldn't be here. This gorilla should not be in Kansas.
Yeah.
And that was not a racist thing. That sounded whoa. We're live too. Fuck. Edit. Cut.
That was in
cut.
reference to the zoos earlier.
my mind bounces sometimes. All right. It wasn't about a
God.
fucking. Okay. Jesus. This toucan. This yeah. Fuck. All right. So. Dug myself a hole there, guys. All right. I don't know. Okay, so first thing I'm gonna show you. Let's go. The next chapter. I have a picture of a highway 70, which is cool.
Nice. Yeah.
That's here. You know, it goes through old Salina, line it down to Hayes, or out to Hayes. It's cool. We're in Kansas, and it's fun. It's always cool whenever things get mentioned. In The Stand, they actually one of the characters is from Lindsborg, where I went to
really?
college the first time. Yeah, up here in Kansas. So like just a real small podunk town, but yeah, they're from there. So that's badass.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
There's I bought solely.
There's a book that takes place in our city.
Yeah.
By whom?
I'll have to look it up. I don't
Yeah?
know the name.
Were they from our city? Okay. Oh, museums that use recreated artifacts instead of real ones would be better. Yes, Rhea. I agree.
Ooh, that would be a really.
Yeah, I love that. Like, if we have recreations of the fucking Mona Lisa everywhere, we could do it for anything.
Yeah.
Just recreate it and give them the original. I
Yeah.
like that a lot.
Yeah, that is.
Really good idea. Thank you. Hopefully, your comment is after I said my bad comment. But anyways, so next week, where are we reading to? Let's see. Let's get that discovered right now on camera.
First.
Let's see. Part 1. Yep. So part 1 riddles is 13 to 147 at 79. 140. Oh my god. Okay, so that tells me absolutely nothing. Cool. Dope. That's a little bit. We can get to down like 130 pages.
That lead us
Chapter 4, Long After Moonset.
basically 5 chapters then. 4,
Basically.
5, and then part 2.
Yep. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, that'll be a fun one. I think we'll get to the beginning of. We'll get through a lot of fun stuff. There'll probably be a longer episode next time, I think, because a couple of different strands happen and are introduced that are pretty fun. Yeah. How do you like how the Blaine thing ended?
Yes, very much.
You think it was foreshadowed? That was kind of. I didn't see it coming.
I think looking back, yes, it's very.
Yeah.
Because, they were talking about riddles and jokes on in the last. Well, I guess like halfway through. After Jake,
Yeah, it was right before Gasher got him.
but like, and whole joke aren't riddle thing, kind of that being in there. A lot of sense already when I was
Mhm.
reading through it.
I think that for the character archetype that Eddie is, it made a lot of sense. And
Yeah.
it was very well done, and it felt so natural. Like, yeah, this is why Eddie's here, kind of. You know.
And, um, I'm kind of wondering, like, with you were onto that book.
Hmm.
Well, that wasn't it.
With the Riddle D Dumb book,
Yeah,
maybe.
maybe just to.
Hmm. Maybe it was to have that original conversation that made Eddie feel so bad. You
Yeah.
know, because I don't remember if it comes back up or not later in the books, but a lot of things blank from my memory about this. Very well could. Yeah, it's I loved it, man. It was. I didn't. I was. I'm happy that they didn't find one that stumped him, and Blaine was just like, "Oh, yep, I don't got it. Here we go." You know, whatever. Anticlimactic.
And I knew they had, like, I was like, they're either gonna have to, like, trick him, or it's gonna be way out of left field.
Yeah.
Um, and I like that this is way out of left. I was like, they're like my mind thought, like I even said this last week. I think my mind immediately went to a scene in The Hobbit where they are, or where he's like in the cave with Gollum, and they're having their riddle off, um, and asking him my pocket. That's not a riddle, but it is.
Mm-hmm.
Pocket thing that Gollum is looking has it.
Yeah, that would have sucked. There's something that's. I mean, God, was this whole fucking riddle thing taken from Tolkien too? I
Maybe.
need to read them and then find the comparison because
Yeah.
like King isn't shy about trying to make, but from a not necessarily like huge into fantasy, right? Like I don't read much fantasy. I don't play games, do tabletop RPGs like that, right? But the way that it's having this like Fallout like present futuristic, like I don't know, it's having cowboys in a fantasy.
Yeah.
Like just having a fucking 6-shooter, that's cool. I've never been to westerns or nothing like that either. Even like action movies, I don't give a shit about. But
Something about having the bad and the ugly, post-apocalyptic sci-fi world magic.
yeah,
It's just very neat.
and it's such a sandbox.
Yeah.
I mean, God, you could do so much with this universe, and I'm
literally anything could happen.
yeah, and I wish King would venture back more into Midworld and just tell some weird stuff. But so much of his stuff has to do with the real world, and like it's not okay. Like it is obviously not real. There's not a monster in the sewers, but it deals with like real world problems and
Yeah.
you know like children not being believed and the adults being too busy for shit. Even like fucking Salem's Lot, you know, is dealing with like thought of an outsider or the interloper in a town and like how small towns can rebel against that. There's not much that you can really connect to it because everybody's so far gone here. But I don't know. I don't know. But yeah. So unless you got anything more, I think we'll wrap it up.
I think I'm good.
All right. Well, this has been Redacted Media live, in your face, extended and uncut. I think is what the South Park guys called it, and it was a dick joke. So
Oh my god, it was.
you never got that?
I never thought about that. Jesus.
Okay, I'll step out on a ledge with you. Blink-182's album, "Take Out Your Pants and Jacket," never got that it was a masturbation joke.
I don't.
Oh,
know about
okay.
that.
Yeah, I just saw this like on TikTok a couple weeks ago, and
Yeah.
it's yeah.
That is very funny.
I never got it. I just like, oh, pants and jacket, whatever. You wearing fucking a t-shirt? Like whatever, whatever. But yeah, this has been Redacted Media, and if y'all made it this long, or if you're here on the rewatch, because I think this VOD should just be up, go ahead and like and subscribe. You know, ring the bell, join our Discord. Link is down below. Yeah, we're trying to post there more. Let me know if you like this format better. Pancake's pretty fire, but not this format.
Yeah.
If you like this format better, you get a little behind the scenes. You know, us just kind of talking before we go live, and know if this. I'm gonna look back and see how seamless this looked, and maybe the audio wasn't as bad. I think I got most of the bad ones out of the way. Hopefully, we sounded pretty decent. Thank you all for stopping by, whether live or later on. It's been a good time. Can't wait to get into the meat of this book. It's a really good one. Summer's gonna be a fun little reading exposition for us. If you want to follow us on any of our socials, I use mainly Twitter at redacted_posts. Directly there. Vic, what you got?
I am at Mr. everywhere. I'm on Tumblr now. So you can follow me there too. Pretty much any site.
You ever get into like Pinterest?
No, I never did.
I don't know what it is.
I haven't looked into it enough to know either.
All right, well there we go.
I just know sometimes when I'm like Googling pictures, it brings me to Pinterest instead, and then it's forever to actually find.
And you
your
can't
own
like
image.
save it as a JPEG. You have to save it as a web file and go somewhere.
Yeah.
As somebody that like tries to make thumbnails and stuff a lot, or like memes even. Okay, I found a great one. Like on my phone, it'll always let me save the photo. If I'm on my computer, I gotta find the right fucking. Save it as a PNG or a JPEG. It's like annoying. But yeah. Thank you all for stopping by. Join us next time for a second episode.